Now, DD India's Amrit Pal Singh filed this report from the Lebanon-Israel border as the Hezbollah steps up missile and rocket attacks.
Even as the center of the military campaign of Israel is the Gaza Strip, and Israel continues to pound Gaza Strip through airstrikes and its ground forces, which have entered the Gaza Strip in limited numbers. But the northern front of Israel is also heating up. I'm right now on the Lebanon-Israel border, and those mountains that you see behind me are Lebanon. Hezbollah is constantly firing rockets into northern Israel. Even as we speak, the rockets are being fired. That city that you see there is Kiryat Shmona, which saw a barrage of rockets fired by Hamas fighters who are also in southern Lebanon. So both Hezbollah and the Hamas, or there are groups of Hamas who are active in the Palestinian refugee camps there. All this while hectic diplomacy is on. Antony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State, was in Israel on Friday. He met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet. Later, he traveled to Jordan to see that the spillover does not happen, the war does not escalate regionally. So now the focus clearly from the Israeli side is to intensify its military activity. Hamas, Hezbollah are fighting back, but the headache for the international community is one, how humanitarian aid is increased, whether through a humanitarian pause, and also the fate of the hostages and the other foreigners who are stuck inside the Gaza Strip. And the third, of course, is how to prevent a regional escalation of the war. Amritpal Singh for DD India in Meramgon.
All right, just to recap for the benefit of viewers tuning in just now, we are tracking Blinken's second visit to Israel in under a month. As you can see on the pictures on your screens, he has already met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and also called on the Israeli President Isaac Herzog in Tel Aviv. And he also addressed a press conference toward the end of his talks in Tel Aviv, in which he called upon Israel to avoid civilian casualties in Gaza. At the same time, he defended Israel's right to retaliate against the 7th October attacks by the Hamas inside Israel, and in that attack, the Hamas took 242 hostages. All right, joining me is my colleague Amritpal Singh. Amrit, if you can hear me, how did Blinken's talks with the Israeli leadership go?
Antony Blinken met with Prime Minister Netanyahu, the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, and the whole war cabinet. So there were three separate meetings that happened. Basically, he told Israelis that, we stand by you, we defend your right to protect yourself, but you need to find out ways to protect the civilians, the civilian casualties that are going up in the Gaza Strip. Also, he, spoke about, the two sides spoke about how the humanitarian assistance to the civilians in Gaza could increase. Third, what was discussed was the state of the hostages and how the hostages could be declared. So these 3 points were essentially what was discussed. Now, this comes in context of what Joe Biden had yesterday, the American president had yesterday said about humanitarian pause. So basically, the American Secretary of State clarifying to the Israelis that there is no shift of the U.S. position. It stands by Israel's support of Israel and understands why they need to conduct military operations, but how the two sides can work and exchange information. One, to take the negotiations which are on to get the hostages released, and second, to press upon Israel to take all measures to protect civilian lives inside the Gaza Strip during its military campaign.
Amrit, you mentioned about Blinken's efforts, diplomacy in Tel Aviv in his talks with Netanyahu. But what did Netanyahu have to say in his statement after the talks?
Well, Prime Minister Netanyahu basically stressed upon the fact that, that their military campaign will not stop unless they achieve their objective of completely decimating the Hamas. And he said that if their forces are acting on specific intelligence to reduce the civilian casualties as much as possible, because that is not their objective. Their objective is only Hamas, in a way, trying to justify that whatever civilian deaths and injuries are happening are due to our collateral damage, but making it very clear that they will not stop unless their military objective, stated military objective of decimating the Hamas, both politically and militarily, is achieved.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Amrit, thank you once again. That was Amrit Pal Singh on the phone line from the Israel-Lebanon border.